So welcome, we are just getting started. I'm going to go ahead and post the support document in the chat for you. We are recording this training. Actually, I'll have to repeat that, there we go. Welcome, we're just getting started. I'm putting the support document in the chat for you, and we are recording this training on Pear Deck because they actually released an amazing new feature last week. And as a result, the recording I currently have on the hub does not include information about that new feature. So if you open up the chat, you will see that there is a link, and if you can't click on it, if it won't let you just click, then go ahead and copy it, and then go to your Chrome browser and go to a new tab, and go ahead and paste that link into a new tab, and if you are struggling to get that to work for you for any reason, just go ahead and put a question in the chat for me and I'll be able to help you out. And I'm going to start sharing my screen. So it's going to yank you back into Zoom. And then I'll show you how to get back out of Zoom, because we will be doing a hands-on session with this. So you will need to go back to your Chrome browser in a little bit. Okay. So this is the support document that I just put in the chat for you. And it starts with just a little overview of what Pear Deck is, and then a step-by-step set of instructions for how to get the Pear Deck add-on installed in Google Slides for yourself so that you can do that. And then following that, you'll see some help, because we're going to be doing this mostly as a live demonstration that you're participating in. So I want you to know what help resources you have going forward. You have a link to a recording of this same training. It will be replaced with today's recording, including the new feature. You have a link to their Getting Started page, a link to their full help page, a link explaining self-paced mode on its own, which you'll hear about a little bit later today. And then you'll also have the same slide deck that I'm using, so that you have all the screenshots and any links that are in that slide deck, you have them by just clicking on that last link. Okay. So this document, again, will be updated once the recording from today finishes processing. I will be able to put a new link to this webinar recording in this document, and it will also be posted on the hub along with all of our other webinar recordings. So what you're looking at right now is actually, initially, it's just a Google slide deck. As you can see, I have Google Slides open. You see my thumbnails on the left, the slide I'm working on in the middle. I can press present and I can just go through my slides as normal, and that's not Pear Deck, right? If I go through the slides, you see this activity and you can't actually do the activity because I just started the Google Slides show as normal. So the first thing I, as the teacher, need to do is that I need to start Pear Deck, because in order to be able to have the features that allow students to respond to activities that I have included in this slide deck, I actually need to use Pear Deck's own little program to not only create these amazing slides, but also to start and run the presentation. So off to the right-hand side, you can see that I've opened Pear Deck. You will get a bigger tour of creating content in Pear Deck a little bit later, but we're actually going to start the lesson right now in Pear Deck, because I would like you to try some of these interactive slides as a student so that you can have the experience and understand what your students will be doing. This will make it easier for you to help them. So as you notice, as I've clicked on Start Lesson, I have two options. Student-paced activity is great for students who are at home right now, for example, and you want them to just go through the slide deck on their own, using their device at whatever time they happen to connect. Instructor-paced activity in our current situation with distance learning is only going to work when the students are live with you in a Zoom session, like I'm doing. So I'm actually going to choose instructor-paced for now, because you're in the room with me. When I click instructor-paced, it's going to take a moment because it has to sync up all my content and all the fancy slides I put in it for the students to be able to respond to activities. And then please start a new, yes, so we're going to start a new session, because they're right, I did make some changes. It noticed that I've updated the slide deck. All right, And now I'm presenting my slides just like before, except instead of letting Google present the slides, I'm letting Pear Deck present the slides. And that actually causes a difference in how the slides behave. Because in a moment, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a website to go to, and I'm going to give you a code, and that's going to push this slideshow to your device so that those slides that have student activities on them are slides that you can actually draw on, type on, click on if there's a multiple choice question, or drag an item on, okay? So you're noticing it's letting me know that I have a teacher dashboard. It is a special view that we will be talking about a little bit later. So I'm just gonna say, got it. And I'm actually going to go back to this one that's going to project what I need you to see. So I'm going to take a minute now and talk you through how to get out of the Zoom window and into your Chrome browser so that you can join me in this presentation. So let's take a look again at what we were doing here. So you already did your vrai faux by clicking, and you already drew your triangles, right, by using the drawing tools. And then you were in the process of trying to state whether or not you agree with the statement, je déteste le chocolat, or the degree to which you agree or disagree with that statement, when it just started blinking and changing your, changing the slides all the time. There we go. So now here's what's interesting about this one. If you do this one live, your students you can drag it right now and everybody can see. So if you want to grab your circle and start waving it around the screen, you actually can do that in real time, and it can be discussed as opinions change. For example, you could use this in a setting where you have people make a decision, and then you add another nuance or another fact or another piece of information, and then see and just keep it on the same slide and see how their decision is affected by that nuance or that fact. So that's that one. I'm going to hide that now. Here's another type. It's another drag your dot, but it's a little bit more of a check for the teacher, particularly good during a live session. And I haven't actually taught you anything yet, so you would be perfectly justified in saying, I have no idea what your lesson is about, stop. But assuming you've taught a lesson and so on, you would be able to indicate the degree to which you are comfortable with the material that has been presented so far by dragging your dot to one of those three areas, saying, keep going, I understand, I'm a little confused, or stop, I need help. I'm going to grab the support document again really quickly for the person who just joined us. And in addition, we are currently doing a live demonstration of this particular tool from the point of view of a student. So the support document is coming first, and that's a link you can copy and then open in Chrome browser so that you always have it. And then if you would like to try to join us in this presentation like right now, we only have a couple more slides left. Otherwise, you're free to continue observing. I've also put a link that will take you right to our presentation so that you can join in if you would like to. Okay. So we've already experienced a slide where you could click on an answer, such as a multiple choice type question. We've seen one where you can draw, and we've had two where you can drag your dot in order to indicate something to the teacher. So in this case, both people have said, you know what, keep going, I'm doing good, let's go with this. Okay, so let's try the next one. This is one of their template slides for social emotional learning. So you can click anywhere you want to start typing, or you can use the drawing tools to draw or handwrite anything you would like. And the idea is to give your learners a chance to share the things that are really helping them, working for them, uplifting them, and supporting them by filling their buckets, and then the things that are happening that are draining their buckets. So it says draw anywhere on this slide, but you can also just use your cursor and click anywhere to start typing. And then what I'm looking at is whether or not responses have come in. If you're looking at my Zoom window, you can see that one of two responses have come in so far. And again, for the benefit of the person who just joined us, you don't have to show all the responses without being able to preview them. I trust my adults, so I'm showing responses. I'm showing responses. but there is a different view called a teacher dashboard. And actually, this is a good time to show that. If I go over to my teacher dashboard, it shows me what slide I'm on now. And I have 3 people in now. Yay, that makes me super happy. So it shows me what slide I'm on now. And as you can see, underneath each person's drawing, there's a star. If I click the star, it will set that one apart as the one that I want to show classes, and I can skip the ones that don't have stars. Okay, so this is not a reflection of anybody who's in the room with me, but just to kind of show you how that works. I'm going to click the star on someone who typed, and I'm going to click the star on someone who drew. Okay, so now I have 2 that I've selected, and when I say show responses, it should only show you the 2 that I have selected, okay, on your devices. So that I have 3 responses in now, but we're going to look at the 2 that I have selected. You'll also notice if you happen to be in the Zoom window, and some people are more comfortable doing this, if you have Zoom and this Pear Deck window open at the same time, the teacher dashboard gives me all of my slides. And at any point I can find out who, so you didn't have to sign in. So Pterodactyl gave this response and Cat gave this response. So it'll show me at any time who did the work on each slide. And on some slides, it will also show me some tips about how or when you might want to use that slide, kind of what the purpose was when the designers made the slide and what they were thinking. Oops, sorry, it brought you back to that again. This is another type of slide where you can do matching activities, and it's important to know that everything on these slides is editable, as I will demonstrate a little bit later. So they have some templates ready to go, and they even have templates by content area. But that doesn't mean you have to stick with the template as it was originally designed. So I did not edit this one, and in a way I should have, because when I was a French teacher, I preferred having everything be in French. So I would not say matching terms, I would provide a title in French. But I could also change out the images that were, these were pre-selected images that were ready for me to use right now. I could have them do a matching activity with any pictures and any words I want. Now in this case, you would be guessing, unless you happen to speak some French, your job is to use the drawing tools to draw lines connecting citron vert to the fruit picture that you think is citron vert, framboise to the fruit that you think is framboise, orange to the fruit that you, orange to the fruit that you think is the orange, pêche to the one that is the pêche, and pomme to the one that is the pomme. So if you want to give that a try, I know I didn't teach you any fruit in French. So it was cute the last time I did this training. We talked about how it worked and how you could look at, so we'll look at some responses in a little bit. And the responses are real time, so even if you're not done, you can keep drawing. And so you're seeing all these different drawings and everything, right? And we were just talking about how it worked and how, like, look, so you can choose different colors. This one chose to do their lines in yellow. This one did black. This one also did black and actually used the line tool so that the lines are super straight, right? But then I also got a request to please know what the correct answers are. So let me see how you did. I can't tell where that one's going. Hold on a second. I'm trying to see. Framboise. There we go. Okay. And pomme. So we have a few really good answers on this slide, actually. Citron vert, pomme, framboise, orange, pêche. Bravo. That one is 100% correct. So, and this last one, citron vert is in fact lime, framboise is raspberry, orange is orange, pêche is peach, and pomme is apple. Bravo. Those are very well done. So there's a matching type template slide you can use, and then there's all kinds of slides that students can do drawing things with depending on what you teach. This one is a template slide for perspectives in, between different characters in literature. So the students could do a combination of drawing and typing in the sense that they could complete the drawings and then type in some points of view. And then you also have slides that look like this, but they're designed to be fill-in diagrams. So if you have a content area where students need to label a diagram, you would be able to create a slide where you put the diagram in place, as well as like maybe some placeholder lines that show what items you want them to label, and they would be able to type on the diagram in order to label, in order to label it, essentially. Oops. Okay. Okay. So we are going to we're not going to do Pear Deck per se anymore, because these are just the slides I wanted you to try so that you could see from a student's perspective what it looks like to do this. If you want to look back at the Zoom window, you'll see what happens when I exit the presentation and end the live session. Let me go into the chat. Okay, so if you're in the Zoom window now, as you can see on my screen, I clicked to end the presentation. So it's going to disconnect the students from the class because this was a live session. And if I give it a name, demo May 5, it will allow me to publish student takeaways. Now, you didn't have to log in, so I'm not sure you'll be able to get your takeaways back, but there is a way for you to actually sync this up with Google Classroom so the students will automatically be logged in. And as a result, you'll be able to put a takeaways link back in Google Classroom that will give them an ability to get back the slides that they participated in, along with what answers they had submitted. Okay, so I'm going to end session and publish takeaways. And you'll see that it's going to give me a link, and it's going to allow me to share it directly to Google Classroom. That link essentially asks them to log in order to get their takeaway slides, which is just a copy of the slide deck with some room for notes. And on all the slides where they did an activity, it shows them back what answers they put in. But this depends on the students having logged in, and you are allowed to join anonymously today. So you might not be able to get takeaways, but if you would like to see what that looks like, I will post that link in the chat for you as well, so that you can try seeing what happens. Oops, sorry about that. So that you can try seeing what happens when you get a link to do the takeaways. Okay, so there you go. So that's in the chat if you'd like to just grab that and kind of look at it later. All right, so let's catch up to where we were. We're going to get through all of these student ones. We're just going to go back to present mode. This is normal Google Slides presenting now. So you'll see that in the slide deck that I gave you in the help document or in the support document, you have this entire slide deck, including everything that's linked in it. One of the things you have is a direct link in order to take you to the place to get the Pear Deck add-on for your Google Slides. But you also have step-by-step instructions if you would prefer to get it that way. So you have two ways to get the add-on so that you can add the same kind of slides that I added to my presentation. It's important to realize that you can either start a Pear Deck presentation from scratch, or you can add these slides into presentations you have already created in Google Slides. The Pear Deck add-on also works with PowerPoint if you are someone who prefers to use PowerPoint, but all of my examples will be in Google Slides. So once you have, if you don't have it yet, you may not have ever installed an add-on in your Google Tools before, but when you open up Google Docs or open up Google Slides or even Google Sheets, you'll see something called add-ons. And if you click on that, it will actually invite you to get add-ons, and that's where you can then say that you would like to get Pear Deck. And then once you have it there, it will show up in your list when you click on add-ons again. The other option is when you're in Google Drive. So this is not Google Slides, this is Google Drive. All the way to the right, you have an app launcher. It's sometimes called a waffle because it looks a little bit like an Eggo waffle. When you click on that and keep scrolling down, scroll past all the ones you use every day, you'll see Pear Deck is an option there in your Google App Launcher as well. Once you open the the Pear Deck add-on, it opens on the right-hand side. So this is the slide I was editing. And on the right of it, it opens up this whole little application for you to do everything you need to do with Pear Deck. It has built-in help if you scroll down a bit with a button called How Pear Deck Works. whether your slide deck has 0 slides in it yet, or you already have slides, the process to add a Pear Deck slide is the same. Make sure you open up Pear Deck first. Then I recommend that you actually sign up to try the, whatever they're calling it, the licensed version, the pro version, the paid version. Try it for free for 90 days. That'll get you through the end of the year and then some, but that will give you access to all of the slide templates that are available for your students to use. Choose the template that you want and then edit it if you want to edit it. So remember, it comes with language already on it. It comes with images sometimes, but you can edit all of those things. So we're going to take a look. For example, I chose this from their template library. Again, there's a lot of templates already done. And it says warm up as you come in and get settled, follow these instructions. And then it has instructions and there's a little 1, 2, 3. One of the things I changed already was I just changed the fill color on this second box by just clicking on the box and clicking fill and choosing another color. Right, so you can change everything about this. If you find it a little small, just change the font size. Right, so this is fully editable. If these instructions don't make sense, for example, we're in distance learning right now, they aren't, these first 2 parts don't make sense, then you can change them just like you could any other slide. You can also change words. If you don't use warm-ups, but you use bell ringers, you can highlight all of that and say bell ringer, right? So you can add or edit anything. The only part you should not and cannot touch is this bottom bar. This bar is where all the fancy programming is that makes the slide work. Don't edit it, don't change it, and certainly don't delete it. Okay, you need that bar in place. So leave it be, don't change the size, don't do anything with it. Just leave that bottom bar alone. Every single slide has that bottom bar, and each time that bar has special programming in it to enable Pear Deck to know what tools the students should have available and to make sure that the students can use the tools in order to complete the tasks. Okay, so that's the one part of the slide that you cannot edit. So here's another really cool one. If I were to start the lesson, this was a curriculum template slide, and you can actually, it has different icons than the dots, but you can drag the flags that are on the bottom here to the locations on the map, following the instructions in the text on the slide. The red flag goes to Italy, the orange flag goes to Germany, the yellow flag goes to Spain, and so on. So let's take a look at the template library, because what you see here on the right is a link to the template library. Don't ignore that. There's a whole lot of good stuff in there. Otherwise, what you have are blank questions, which isn't a bad thing. You can actually create your own questions from scratch without using the template at all. Okay, so let's just do this. I'm going to create a new slide right here. I'm going to go to the template library. You have first lesson builders based on the point you are at in your lesson. Is this something you want for the beginning, the middle, or the end of your lesson? And there's a whole bunch of templates for each of those. You also have critical thinking templates, social emotional learning templates like the fill your bucket, empty your bucket. And then you have specific template slides for content areas, including littles and even some example questions for any content area, as you can see, that you could then change the text on and so on. So if you click on any of these, you'll see that it loads a number of templates. And remember, the text on the templates is editable. The colors are often editable. Often the images are editable. The only thing you can't edit is the bar on the bottom of the screen. So that's beginning of lesson, during the lesson, ways that you can check and gauge understanding, help learners process, help learners be ready to continue learning, and then end of lesson activities, connecting to one's own life, doing a summary, how you're feeling, pretend your friend was absent. And so these are all slides. Some of them say they're a text slide, meaning the students will type only, no drawing tools. Some of them are drawing slides. And then there's draggables, which are the kind with the dot or the flag or the icon that you can drag. And then there are a few multiple choice slides. I don't remember what they call them, but that was like the earlier one I did with the true false one. And on the right, you had to pick true or pick false by clicking on it. Okay. And then if you look at critical thinking, you'll see some additional making connections slides that you can use for the activities that you would like your students to do. Similar for the social emotional learning ones, you can also include these in your slides at any time or use them during a live meeting where you're not presenting new content, but you could use those slides as a part of the way that you're checking in with your learners when you choose to have live meetings. And then again, you have slides for each content area. And remember, like this one, if I insert this one into my slide right now, I can change the letters themselves and I can change the pictures so that instead of being cat, bat, and rat, right, I can pick 3 different pictures because all of these things are editable. So I can just insert different pictures and I can change these letters and still use this template. The only thing I can't change is the bottom. Okay. Here's another really nice one for littles or for early literacy work. It's going to add this slide right after the one I'm on now, so it will become the new slide 19 over on the left. It's just working on editing it right now. Might have gotten a little bit bogged down. Hold on. There it goes. Let's see if I got it. There it is. So circle the items. It's a drawing slide, and the students will circle all the items on this page that start with a B. So as you can see, there are a lot of templates for different kinds of activities. This one is kind of just a blank choose a response activity. So you can set it up with a story problem. It could even be an image, right? You could take a screenshot of a story problem from the publisher materials, and then they just choose the option because it's going to be a multiple choice slide and they're just going to have options to click on in order to answer. So I encourage you to investigate the templates as a great place to start. But if you don't like the templates or none of them suit your needs, you can click on any type of slide, you know, multiple choice one or whatever, and then you can make some adjustments. For example, what icon would you like to use for what they will drive or what they will have to drag? And notice it'll let you keep doing colors and so on. And then you can say how big you want it to be with the slider. And it's putting it right onto this slide, which I should not have done. But so it's putting it onto that choose a response slide. So that's a little bit different. But normally you would have a blank slide that you would put this into, and then you would add your content such as that picture of the map that I showed earlier today. And then you would update the slide and it would now become a draggable slide instead of a clickable slide with multiple choice answers. Here's the cool new feature that just got added. Add audio to a slide. This is great for distance learning, because now what you can do, even easier than using Screencastify, which you might have heard about in some of the earlier programs that were offered once we started distance learning, is now there's just a button. You click the button, you record your audio, it attaches to your slide. So you click to record. The first time you do it, you will have to allow your microphone because it needs permission. And notice that it says record audio or upload audio. So if you happen to have audio on your computer already recorded, you can upload it. There is a time limit. I will have to check on how long it is. A placeholder will appear on this slide for you as a teacher. You won't be able to click it to play it, to test it as a teacher when you're in your teacher view. It just says audio included. And you know that worked. Now you could start your lesson, join it on a phone or another device, and then test it that way so that you can see it as a student. When the students get there, they click the button and it works for them. So basically the lesson has to be sent out, you know, and it does all that magic where it puts all the programming into the various slides. Well, that's when it's going to also program the audio button to work. So when you're in the view where you're editing your slides, the audio button doesn't work. But once you start the lesson and you push it out to your learners, then that audio button will work for the people using that link to access the slides. They also have a little audio button down here that kind of shows them where they're at in the 10 seconds. It's not 10-second limit, by the way, it is longer than that. But that particular audio is only 10 seconds. So you could either use this to read out loud any instructions that are included on a slide, or if you have slides with content on them that is visual, because in your classroom you would not have just read everything, right? You wouldn't just put it all in print. So if you have slides that have visual content, now you'll be able to talk to your learners the way you would do in class and record the content that you wanted to say along with the visuals so that your learners can hear it. The way you start a Pear Deck session once you are ready to go and you're ready to present is by opening Pear Deck first. So open your slides and open Pear Deck so that you get that Pear Deck menu on the right-hand side, just like I have going over here. And then you click Start Lesson. And so let me do a quick demo, by the way, of what it looks like to add the audio, because it's super easy. So it's loading my audio recorder, and now I can't really see my slide anymore. So you do want to know what your slide is because it's kind of in the way. So on this slide, we are just talking about how you can add audio to your Pear Deck slides so that your students can click a little button and listen to an explanation. It pauses. So if you needed to cough or catch your breath or regroup and regain your thoughts, you can pause and think about what you wanted to say, and you can either resume, delete it, or save it. So if I save it, it's showing that I have a 12-second audio file. I can listen to it. You should listen to it, or delete it, and then return add audio to slide. So now it's going to add a little audio button to that slide. And remember, this is really important, really important. Don't change the link. It even says it in there. It's like, don't change this link. It won't work if you mess with it. But also, the audio only works if you start the lesson in Pear Deck and give it to the students that way. It is a Pear Deck tool, not a Google Slides tool. So if you just give them the link to your slides in Google Slides, the audio won't work. Similarly, if you give them a link to Google Slides and not a Pear Deck link, none of these interactive slides that we looked at earlier will work for them. They'll just be slides they can look at. Okay, so getting back down to here, we looked at how to add audio, and we even added a little audio button, but remember what I said, it won't actually work on their slide. And in fact, it doesn't even appear in Google Slides. It's like it's invisible. All right, but they'll click on it. Oh wait, it's probably, there it is. That was the slide I did it on. So there's my little audio included button, but because I'm presenting in Google Slides, it does nothing for me here. I have to start the Pear Deck lesson, and then I have to choose, either way it'll work, instructor paced or student paced. Instructor paced is for live settings. Student paced is for them to do on their own time, anytime. And then I can copy the information to share it with students like I did today. I actually just copied the link right here and gave it to you. But for your students, if you're using Google Classroom, you have an immediate share to classroom for student paced mode. If you're using Remind or Class Dojo, just use the copy link feature above instead of the share to Google Classroom feature. If you choose Google Classroom, it will then prompt you to create an assignment or material or however you want to post it in Google Classroom. So it makes that window available to you. And then as a reminder for you, I have an example of what students see. For example, for all the typing ones, the typing area is to the right. Multiple choice area is to the right. Otherwise, they draw directly on the slide. I also gave you some screenshots of the teacher dashboard and what it looks like in teacher view. So on this one, for example, you can see that I had 10 students on this slide, and if I hover over it, it'll tell me who they are. This is the slide I'm actively looking at because it has yellow around it, but I also can tell without even going there that there's 2 students on slide 2, there's 3 students on slide 3, there's even the student view. So if you look down in the lower left corner of my screen, you can see that for the vrai faux, it actually has the true false choices off to the right. On any given slide, you can see who chose those false responses. And it's, of course, none of them had to sign in, so it's all anonymous animals. But if you do Google Classroom, they will be automatically signed in. And then I gave you also a screenshot of what the drag your dot looks like, how to see on a drawing slide. You have to look, you have to look in the lower left corner below the student's drawing in order to see, sorry, every time I go there, my slide tools pop back up. But if you look in the lower left corner, it says owl. That is the owl slide, right? And that owl told me at the beginning earlier that they're not doing so well. So I actually can see right there how my students are feeling as well if I include a slide that asks them how they're doing today. Here's the star I was referring to. That's how you can choose which students' responses will be visible as opposed to showing all of them in real time. The last thing we need to talk about is a special extension that you might not need. But I like to do things, as you can see, I actually have this set up to show content one at a time as I click, right? So as I'm clicking, these items are appearing. That's called animation. It makes it easier to help your learners focus on what it is you're talking about by not showing them everything at once, but instead controlling how much they see and when. The problem is when you use Pear Deck, animations that you put into Google Slides don't work. So Pear Deck wasn't able to fix it within Pear Deck itself for some reason. And so what they created is a powerup extension for Chrome. You basically install it in your Chrome browser and you start your Pear Deck presentation from there. And then you can copy over any Google Slides or whatever you need. So you can't start by opening Google Slides. If your slides have animations in them, if they have animated GIFs or GIFs, or if they have videos that you've inserted, you will need the powerup extension and you will design your Pear Deck slides using the extension instead of using the normal add-on. Interestingly, it looks exactly the same on your end. It doesn't look any different. The only difference is what you clicked on to start. Did you click on the add-on or did you go up to the extension and click on the little Pear Deck icon in your Chrome browser? So let me show you what I mean by that. My add-ons, and Pear Deck is nice. It actually, after I installed the add-on, instead of just being here in my list like it normally is, it also installed itself here on the left. That might be because I have a pro version. I'm not sure. So if you don't see it here, don't panic. Just click on your add-ons. And once you've installed it by choosing Get Add-ons, it will then appear in the list and you can just open the add-on. That's my normal way. And if I launch it from there, these animations, if you see the little icon to the left of the slide I'm on right now, that funny little 3 circles, that tells me there's animation. If I start the lesson in Pear Deck, it doesn't work. It just shows them all of this at once. The same thing happens on my first slide. Oh no, I don't have animation on that. Never mind. This slide has animation. If I launch the lesson in Pear Deck doesn't know what to do with that. It just shows them everything at once. So instead of launching it from the add-on, I installed the powerup extension. And as you can see, it's a link. So it will actually take you right to the extension so you can install it. And extensions are little tiny programs that live in your Chrome browser. They're attached to your Chrome account. So this is my San Juan Chrome account. And it's right here. There's a little pair. I can't make that any bigger, unfortunately, even if I try to magnify my screen. But this is my Pear Deck powerup extension. If I click it, what you're going to notice is I click create a lesson and it's going to open up what looks just like what we did before. So again, from the teacher end, once you click there, it doesn't look any different really. They have one slide at the beginning that just says, open the Pear Deck add-on through the add-ons menu now to get your Pear Deck going, and then add interactive slides and do whatever you want. So it doesn't look different. It looks like Google Slides, except there's one little difference. There's a little pear in this corner. There's no pear here, even with Pear Deck running, because here's my Pear Deck add-on going. There's no pear off to the left of my title. This one has a pear to the left of the title. And that pear is my symbol that tells me that I'm using the powerup extension so that videos like the one showing in this demo will play. Animated content to come in one at a time will actually come in one at a time, and so on. You don't have to keep this slide in there. You can delete it. So you open an untitled presentation, you open your Pear Deck add-on, and then you start adding in new slides. Okay, so right now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get it to add a new slide right now. Let's see if I can do that way. There we go. You can go to Google Slides, copy any slides you want. So if I'm going to take some that are not Pear Deck slides just to show a normal thing, and I go, oh my gosh, but I have videos and I have animation and I need those things in my presentation or it just doesn't work as well, right? So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to copy out my slides, including my slides with animations, and I'm going to go over to my extension one and paste them all, and I'm going to import my slides. And any slides that have animation, of course I didn't pick one with animation. Any slides that have animation, there we go. So I'm going to copy that. And if the slide has animation, the animation will come over with it. And this time when I launch the Pear Deck extension, when I launch the Pear Deck lesson, because I did it with this nice little version that says power up. Hold on, I don't want to erase the little Pear Deck thing. That says power up demo, right? Okay. Now that I did that, notice also it saved it in its own little folder, by the way. So you might want to move it to a folder that you're accustomed to, because it made its own folder called Pear Deck and it put your power up slide deck inside of there, right? So you might want to move it somewhere else. And then when I click start lesson, and I'm going to start it now, and I'm not going to ask you to join it. I'm just going to go ahead and let it start. Okay. Unlike the old version where the animations don't work and my stuff just shows up all at once, because I used the extension and because it's this special version of Pear Deck, videos and animated GIFs or GIFs, and also slides that are animated. We're just going to start it. So notice the video here is playing. This is actually a GIF. It's playing for me. And if I go through to my last slide, that's just an empty slide. But if I go through to my last slide, sorry, I'm trying to get it to go there faster for you. It's going to take a little while because my computer has decided that it's a little bit slow right now. When I get to slide 18, which is the one I'm waiting for, hold on, it's still getting there. There we go. Okay, hold on. It's going to have a little bit of a hissy fit while it decides what's happening because I kept clicking. So this was my fault. One of the things to not do is to not let it go at its own pace while it loads the slide content. So right now it's having a little bit of trouble because I just kept clicking, waiting for it to get to my slide. There we go. It's caught up to me now. And now my animated content is coming in one at a time. So that's why you have the Power Up extension. You only need it if your slide either has a video or a GIF in it, or if you use the insert animation feature in order to bring items in one at a time. Once you do that, it pretty much acts and looks like Google Slides with a Pear Deck add-on off to the side. And the other final key is to always remember to hit Start Lesson in Pear Deck, whether you're using the Power Up extension or not. Otherwise, the fancy programmed slides won't work. The insert audio won't play. You must start your lesson from Pear Deck. Any questions? One other important point about Pear Deck. Even though you can post the assignment in Google Classroom, you need to view the student work in Pear Deck. And I'm going to close all these windows just to show you how, if you happen to have closed everything, I want to show you how you can view your Pear Deck sessions and look at your students' work. So you're actually going to go to peardeck.com. So it posts to Google Classroom as just a convenience and as a service to you, but it doesn't pull the students' slides back into Google Classroom. The students' slides and their answers live in Pear Deck. So you need to go back to Pear Deck to get them. So go to teacher login after you go to peardeck.com. And choose your, so I'm already logged in because it remembers me, but the first time you do it, it will need you to log in. Then off to the left-hand side, and I'm gonna grab a screenshot of this and add it to the slide deck. Off to the left-hand side, you're gonna click on sessions, and then it will give you a list of all the sessions that you've done. And so, give me just a second. It's really important to name your sessions when you end your lessons, because if you don't name it, then when you come in here, you see I have a whole bunch of unnamed sessions, unnamed session, unnamed session. And I have to actually like go in and look at it to remind myself of what it is. There are some that are closed, but I have 2 that are student paced and they are still running. So since they are student paced and I never closed them, I can actually open them up to take a look at them. So if I hover over here, this is gonna kind of show me the full presentation again. And actually, I wanna get out of that. Okay, and that's gonna show that there's still 2 students connected. Notice that after 30 days, your sessions are archived. I wanna get to another student-paced one. Okay, this is to view it kind of live, almost like to go in right now and be like, ooh, is anybody in it right now? But you could also do that again if you do dashboard view. So if you go to the teacher dashboard view, this is where you're going to have an easier time seeing your students' work. So if you're going back into an old session or even an open session that you did with your students and you set it up as a self-paced, student-paced mode, right? So it's in the student-paced mode and it's running for me. There's 1 student on this slide. There's 2 students on this slide. If I click on any one slide, I can go ahead and look at that and see all their responses. So, je déteste le chocolat, owl is there, elephant, right? And I can piranha and a few others, crane is there. I can't really move all the other dots out of the way. But down here at the bottom, it does show me 10 students who did not respond at all. And I can open the roster and I can take a look at who they are, who joined, and so on, and whether or not they're still in the session. So there's a lot I can do by going to that sessions area in order to see how people responded. So here, for example, this tells me all those students who said that this question was false, and this tells me who said that the question was true. And if I click on the roster, it will tell me who is still online and who is offline. So again, to see your student responses, you need to go to peardeck.com and sign back in, and then find your sessions in peardeck.com, because by finding your sessions, that's how you're going to be able to go in and look at your students' work. And the best way to do that is by clicking on the dashboard icon, right? So there we go. Any questions before we close off? Okay, so those 3 dots allow you to turn off the student paced mode, end the session, rename it, or archive it. And remember, all sessions are archived after 30 days. I think that brings us to the end. So thank you very much for coming. And feel free to email me if you have questions.